Hi. In this session, we will be talking about how you could boost your sales in Q4 with the right Amazon PPC setup. And today, my guest will be Chris Rawlings from Sophie Society, and he will show you why it's a smart move to fine tune your PPC for the upcoming holiday period. So, we will go through different things from bidding to targeting to budgets and even creatives. So, stick with us and let's welcome Chris here as well. So, hi, Chris. How are you doing? And yeah, we actually saw each other in the summertime at one of our events. So, what has been going on so far?
Yeah, that was the Baltic Cellar Fest. That was so awesome. One of the coolest and most fun events. We went all around Lithuania. We were tasting cheese. That was so great. And yeah, the speaker lineup was amazing. That was a great event. Yeah, what's up with the set? It's good to be here talking about Q4. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
already balls deep into our Q4 prep. So to me, like this, even though we're only in the beginning of September, it already feels a bit late to be talking about Q4 setup, but not too late. There's plenty of time to do all the stuff that we're going to go over today. And I tried to squeeze in as much as possible, but there's like really a huge amount. It's Q4 kind of ends up being like an excuse to get things right because of how much of your total sales end up happening in Q4 for most brands. So it's really everything, but we'll focus on like the most high leverage things today and the things that relate to PPC particularly.
Okay. Well, usually everything you explain and provide our viewers with is very practical, very easy to follow. So I think when people are watching us today or even in the next days, they're still able to implement everything they want to. But as always, first things first, I know there are some old friends watching us today, but also new people who don't know anything about your background. So briefly, could you let us know what do you do in the Amazon space and how do you usually help Amazon sellers?
Yeah, I started selling on Amazon in 2015. It kind of was the first thing to really free me from the sort of rat race, as you say. Um, and I spent a little bit of hedonistic time because my brand took off partially because of skill, partially because of luck, and so I was traveling around the world for a while, and then I ended up just realizing that I really needed to build a solid foundation and become deeply entrenched in the seller community and really just like dedicate my energy and focus to this. So I started partnering with brands, investing in brands, and serving brands since 2000, really 2017. And since then, I've been focusing on helping brands grow. So I run Sophie Society, which we're an official verified Amazon ads partner. And we help brands accelerate their growth and their sales, and brand owners accelerate their own personal goals by advancing their PPC campaign strategy. And that people don't realize that it's PPC is sort of ends up being like the center of everything because it gives you all the data you need to make good decisions, and it also is like the hands of your brand to actually actuate your strategy in the real world. So it ends up kind of being the center of all things, like where you get all the good data and how you interpret that data, make good decisions, and how you actuate those decisions in the real world. And so a lot of that kind of stuff we're going to be going into today, actually, in the Q4 prep, both sides of that, like pulling data from PPC and actuating strategy with PPC. And yeah, we've had a lot of amazing stories and successes along the way. So just trying to keep it rolling here.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we're ready for you to share everything you know to get us prepared for the Q4. Before that, I wanted to say, everybody watching us live, please to leave all of your questions you have for Chris regarding PPC and Q4 to the chat box, because after Chris is doing a short presentation, we will also address all of the questions you leave. And also, whenever you like what you hear, you learn something new, don't forget to like this video as well, because then we're able to create more webinars like this, and also subscribe to our Orange Click YouTube channel to see more videos with Chris and also other experts from the Amazon community. So, Chris, I think the stage is all yours. Share your screen, and we are ready for you.
Awesome. Can you see my screen? I'm sharing it now.
Yes, perfect.
Awesome. All right, let's rock and roll. So this is Q4 domination, ways to completely unfair ways to enlarge Q4 sales. I'm going to go over a lot of the stuff that we have internally inside our playbook inside Sophie Society. We've met, well, you know what? I'll do a quick intro. So I know I introduced myself. I'm Chris Rawlings, but a little bit more about me. I've founded 5 multi-million-dollar ventures in my life since I started on this entrepreneurial journey, but also invested in a number of companies as well. I started my own e-commerce brand. I've launched over 2,000 products on Amazon.com. I'm an 8-figure mentor inside the Titan Network in their Group 4, which is an awesome, excellent mastermind that I've been a part of for a while. I've driven over $188 million in PPC ad revenue. So, everything that we talk about today comes from experience, not just with my brand, but with hundreds of other brands that we've partnered with or managed. And a lot of that comes through my company, Sophie Society. So, yeah, one of the biggest concepts that we're going to talk about today is basically a type of arbitrage. For those of you guys that don't know what arbitrage is, it means buying something at one price, selling it at a higher price. It's sort of what Amazon sellers do, or at least used to do back in the golden days of like just buying something on Alibaba.com, slapping your label on it, and instantly sending it right into Amazon FBA. It's not quite that simple these days. It takes a lot more actual brand building these days, but anybody who was selling pre 2017 will kind of remember what I'm talking about. I started selling in 2015 and it really was like that. You could just sell Alibaba stuff right on Amazon, and it was like straight up arbitrage. Buy something on one marketplace that's cheap, sell it on another marketplace that's expensive. So what we're going to be going over in terms of Q4 prep right now, especially when concerned with PPC, it's sort of like a time arbitrage. And basically what we're going to be doing is, since Q4 hasn't started yet, we're going to be getting resources while they're cheap and exploiting them once they're expensive. And what do I mean by resources? There's a lot of things that this applies to, right? So keyword ranking spots, get them while they're cheap, exploit them while they're expensive and more valuable. Keyword data, we're going to pull that while it's cheap and then exploit it when it's more expensive. Creative performance results. Now, this is going to be hard for you guys to visualize like up front, but we're going to go deep into each one of these things. Badges, placement data. There's a ton of things that you can get before Q4 starts, and it should be done right before. You might think like, oh, I already know which keywords convert. I did my keyword research when I launched this product in February. That was a long time ago. Things have changed since then. So this is the time that we're in right now, August, September, and the first half of October is the time to get all of this stuff cheaply so that you can exploit it later when it's really expensive. And this is why, you'll see a lot of sellers talk about how like, well, there's not much I do for Q4. I just do everything right. I just keep doing the same stuff and do it well. And no, well, there's merit to that, like always trying to be on top of all these things. You will end up beating your competitors who don't do anything to prepare for Q4. And you're going to see exactly why. If you follow along with me now, you'll see, oh, it's obvious. If I do these things, it's obvious that I'll beat my competitors once Q4 starts, because you thought ahead and you used time arbitrage and resource arbitrage by planning far enough ahead. And this is exactly what we do for all our brands. So here's a little kind of benchmark for you guys. So November, you might have 3x the sales. Now, it's not always like this. Maybe you have 1.5x of sales. Maybe you have 1.1x of sales. Maybe you have 4x of sales. Some brands are a lot more seasonal than others. But say November, you have 3x of sales. December, you have 5x of sales. October, you might have 1.5x the sales as things start to heat up and people start to buy presents for the holiday season, right? This exact same multiplier impacts how hard it is to get things that you need. Let's talk about ranking. So Q4 ranking movement in November is going to be 3 times harder. In December, it's going to be 5 times harder. In October, it's going to be 1.5 times harder. And not just harder, but more expensive, more time intensive, more resource intensive. So everything that you need to succeed during Q4 is harder to get once Q4 starts. It all is much easier to achieve, whether it's ranking movement, the data on what creatives are working well, the data on what placements are working well. Everything that you need to succeed is going to be way, way easier to get beforehand. And then you build up your castle so that once Q4 starts, you're completely fortified and you can exploit the resources and the gain that you've gotten during that time prior to. Is this making sense, Lisette? Oh,
everything makes sense. Always what you tell us, I think everything makes sense. Especially also your
nice.
jokes make sense. I like your jokes. I think people noticed that how during the last recording I was trying really hard to not laugh over the one joke you made. So yeah, no jokes as far today, but yeah, let's keep moving.
Okay, good. All right. I'll try not to choke you up this time. So, yeah, basically, Q4 amplifies everything good and bad. Everything just gets way more intense during Q4. So, the idea is that before everything ramps up, we get all of our ducks in a row. And now we're going to start talking about how to do that. So, talking keywords. The background of this slide is a keyword search term report. You guys are all going to be familiar with this. There are basically three critical Q4 keyword protocols to run ahead of Q4. And these are ones that you're going to want to run now. And this is the right time to do it. I know I said maybe we're a little bit late because we start our Q4 protocols in August, really, but you're not too late. There's plenty of time to do everything that we're going to talk about today. So the first protocol is pull back your search term report from last year and take a look at what terms converted during the Q4 season last year. And you're going to find that it's likely going to be somewhat different than your normal search term report that doesn't include keywords that may be holiday related. And the cool thing about this is, and it's not just about holiday related terms, like you might find gifts for dad, Christmas gifts for DIY, Christmas gifts, stuff like that, things that relate to your niche and the season. But it's not just that. You'll find that the search volume breakdown between the different types of terms changes in Q4. And it's not just related to holiday keywords. So if you have your search term reports, now you can't export reports going back infinitely in time, but if you have them, this is a absolutely, it's a gold mine of data if you have these. And you can go back through and see last Q4 what search terms are working well. And there's a ton of things that you do with this. These keywords you can put back into the listing in spots like your A plus content, your brand story, your bullets, your description, even the title. And you can also use the keywords to inform the visuals. So if you're going to do holiday centered visuals or anything that's seasonal specific in your storefront, in your listing images, in your A plus, in your brand story images, there are tons of places to do this. This is how you find out. This is how you inform what types of visuals to do. So if I find that a certain search term has a much higher portion of my overall impressions and clicks during the quarter, typically, and obviously you have to have a product that's been live on the marketplace for over a year in order to do this. So this won't apply to every product or every brand. But if you can do it, it is an absolute gold mine. And this is one thing that's like, when we come across brands and we start partnering with them to help them succeed with PPC, and they're not doing stuff like this, these are some of the quick wins that we can apply. It's like, oh, wow. Okay. I didn't even realize I was sitting on this gold mine of data that could completely transform my click-through rate and my conversion rate for a particular keyword. So it's super powerful. The second most, and this is probably the most important one, is look at your most recent search term reports and find the keywords that have the highest conversion rate with the highest amount of sales. So it's a balance. Like you want to sort by sales, so you know how many orders you're actually getting from each keyword, but then find the ones that are converting the highest. And so if you have, a keyword that has a large amount of sales, but it's a pretty low conversion because it's very broad and it's not super relevant to you, that's not the one that you'll want to focus on. We want to create a bank of 10 to 20 it could be 5 to 20, I would say. It depends on the niche. So, some niches have like way more mid-tail, high relevance, significant search volume keywords. Some of them don't. So find anywhere between 5 and 20 of these keywords have super high conversion and a significant amount of search volume. And these are the ones that we're going to go hard on to rank for now ahead of time before Q4 starts. The way that we think about it is sort of like once we get into Q4, every day is like 5 days. So if we could spend time now that when the getting is cheap to rank for these high converting search terms that we're most likely to be able to rank for anyway because our conversion is highest for them, then we just basically executed an arbitrage trade. We spent money with single keyword exact match campaigns on keywords that are highest converting for us and increased our ranking for them while the overall traffic on Amazon was low. Then once the traffic is high in Q4 and it's really hard to move your ranking position because everyone's getting more traffic, we're already there. And that's the main idea is this time arbitrage, resource arbitrage concept. We want to spend the time and the upfront money now while it's much cheaper and much easier to rank for keywords that we're most highly probable to rank for because we have the highest conversion rate for them. And then cement that so that once Q4 comes around, we exploit it and harvest it. It's like planting your seeds, waiting for them to grow, and then harvesting all of the crops. And that's how we think about it. So once you've identified these keywords, and a lot of you guys that have proper or like professional PPC management already, you're already doing this where you have single keyword exact match campaigns for keywords that you want to rank for. But the point is, ahead of Q4, you want to, first of all, use that search term report if you have it from a year back, plus your most recent search term report to find out what's converting the best now and what typically converts the best during Q4. Because whenever you set up these campaigns, these single keyword exact match campaigns, it probably you weren't Q4 minded when you did it. So this is an exercise to rehash and redo now to make sure that these are the best possible terms. And to know what term is the best, the conversion rate is really your compass. You want to go for the terms that are converting the highest, but also have significant amount of search volume, because that means that the buyer intent is there and that your offer is actually resonating with the buyer, which tells Amazon that this is something that we should be showing more to these types of buyers. Whereas if you just try to go for the highest volume search terms that are producing the most clicks or the most sales, it doesn't necessarily tell Amazon what they want to see. Like, oh, okay, a lot of people are coming to this listing and clicking on it, but that's only because of the sheer volume of searches for this. So what you see on this image is just, you guys are familiar with this. This is a sponsored product campaign setup, and you're going to choose exact match, put in one keyword, and that should be, and you do this for each one of those keywords that you identify by analyzing your search term report, most recent, and if you have it, the search data that you have from last quarter. And what we're going to do then is climb while the climbing is easy and get the listing to rank higher for those keywords while we still can. Because later on, it's much more difficult to move around rankings. It's sort of like, you're strapping into the roller coaster before it begins, and you can change your seat, before, the operator of the roller coaster hits that big red button. But once it starts, climbing around to another seat once the roller coaster is like blasting off is like really, really hard. So it's best to do all of this now. And this is our philosophy. So here's the next thing that you're going to do with those keywords that you identify. You already know they're high converting. You already know they have significant search volume. We're going to double down on them and take a close look at our thumbnail and our listing and optimize everything for those keywords. And remember, I didn't say 500 keywords. I didn't say even 100 keywords. I said between 5 and 20 keywords. That's critical. It's a small number of high converting, high relevance keywords that we want to focus on here. And again, we're talking about our own data, right? So this is most trustworthy. If you're launching a brand new product and you have no data, not even like the most recent search term report, it's still possible. You can launch a product in Q4. It's difficult. It's its own game, but it can be done. You're just going to get that data from keyword tools like Helium 10, AMZ Scout, things of that nature, rather than the search term reports. But for most of you guys, you want to get the data from your own search term reports. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to take an audit of your listing and an audit of your thumbnail. These two critical things, thumbnail, listing, two different things, both equally important, because one determines your click-through rate and the other determines your conversion rate, right? The only two things we need to really succeed on Amazon with PPC is good click-through rate, good conversion rate, and the rest is easy. So you're going to take those terms and audit every single thing about your thumbnail and about your listing. And I'm not just talking about the word parts of the listing, like the title and the bullets and the A+ content copy. I'm talking about the imagery too. So the terms should match the imagery. If I keep seeing that my toy block, one of the main search terms is toy block set with soft case, and that is just killing it, then you could see in this image here, I'm going to add that soft case to my primary image because I know a lot of people are searching that, and there's no way for them to know that it comes with the soft case just from the thumbnail unless I put it in there and get it clicked. So a little word of caution on changing the primary image. This is a hypothesis until tested. So one of the things we're going to get into a little bit later on in this webinar is split testing. This is the time to do split tests. So you don't want to make this change last minute because you're like, oh yeah, everyone's searching for soft case, toy blocks with soft case. Like I'm gonna change my primary image and just crush it during Q4. Yes, maybe. But the only way to really know is to test, because that's a hypothesis until proven true. So our philosophy inside Sophi is to split test everything. And this takes a little more time, but once you get it right, it pays off in spades because you have the actual data to make good decisions. Before that, everything that you think of as an idea is just a hypothesis. So that's just a little aside about primary images. But in general, you're going to go through everything from the title, the primary image, the bullets, the A+ content, the brand story module, the Q&A, which we'll get into this stuff later a little bit more deeply, even the top voted reviews, and do everything you can to craft it to those high converting, high volume search terms that you committed to. And what this does is it gives Amazon everything they need to rank you ahead of Q4, and you stick that ranking through Q4 for these super relevant search terms. And these practices shouldn't be new to you guys. I mean, this is something that should be standard for all products, but doing it ahead of Q4 is like you get like 5x the return on doing this now during this time. So call it an excuse to do things that you should be doing fundamentally for the brand anyway, but it should be done again now ahead of Q4 because first of all, the data can be different. And second of all, the ROI is so much bigger because for a lot of brands, more than half of their sales come from the Q4 period. So
Chris, one question, if I may, about A/B testing and gathering data. What do you prefer, testing on Amazon with the Amazon internal tool, or do you use anything external like Big4 or something similar?
Yeah, we do. Once we're in the hypothesis stage, we use crowd sourced A/B testing like PickFu. But we also do our own A/B testing. We will use Amazon's tool, but it doesn't work for everything. To really A/B test, a lot of times you just have to switch things out and let time pass to see what the difference is. And honestly, it's not that hard to get the data if you're only changing one thing, but it has to be an impactful thing. We tried split testing smaller things like, different types of brand story cards and stuff like that. And it's too volatile to really get good data. But for a primary image, that can easily be split test because you could just see the click-through rate data right in your reports very easily. And it can have a dramatic impact. So yeah, we'll do it both ways.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, excellent question. So this is what a thumbnail and a listing looks like on desktop, right? But in reality, most of the shoppers are going to be seeing this because this is what it looks like on mobile. And more than 3/4 of the actual traffic on Amazon is coming from mobile. So even though this is what we see when we're at work all day working on our brands and we're checking our listing and we're, checking our search and reports and going back and forth, what we should be looking at is this. What does our mobile thumbnail look like? And what does our mobile listing look like? And you're going to find it can be dramatically different. On mobile, a lot of the bullets will not even be visible or will be barely visible. On mobile, the images will show up scrolling without you having to scroll to the side in some categories, just as you scroll down the listing before the A plus content happens. Um, and Amazon has been testing putting things in different orders as well. The brand story before the A plus content, the A plus content before the brand story, Q&A, different places. So what you want to do is test all of this on mobile first. That's the way to do it. So you're going to be optimizing everything on the thumbnail from the primary image to the title to we're going to go into some other cool stuff that you can do on the thumbnail a little bit later on. And then every single thing on the listing with regards to the keywords that we talked about earlier. So both of these are going to be optimized for those high converting keywords that we identified. And then lastly, this is how you kind of hypothesize the Q4 specific keywords. For some brands, this isn't going to be a huge winner for you, but there's a lot of brands where this actually can be a significant amount of traffic. And if it's specific enough, you can find cool gems to try out during Q4. Now, the problem is if you don't have any data from last year, you don't know if this is actually going to work. Again, it's just a hypothesis until you test. But it is worth doing if you know that you're in a space where these sort of giftable search terms or holiday or Q4 related search terms tend to drive a lot of traffic. So there's a lot of ways to get this data, but you can see there's a few classes here. There's gifts for avatar or avatar gifts, gifts for dad gifts. That's really general, but you can add on to things like DIY gifts for dad, etc. Then there's niche gifts. So, pets gifts, stuff like that. And then there's holiday gifts for avatar. So there's Christmas gifts for dad. And again, these go much more specific when you start putting niche words in there. So it's like Christmas gifts for outdoor dad, stuff like that. And then you have specific styles like gift baskets, sets, etc. And you could see when you're searching in Amazon, they'll start to show up. So you search when I start searching for gifts for dog, I see gifts for dog lovers, gift for dog moms, gift for dog owners, gifts for dog walkers, gifts for dog loss. And this can give you some ideas on what giftable keywords to test out. And obviously you can also use keyword research tools like Helium 10 to source some of these Q4 specific keywords for the brand. But again, I'd be careful with these because it's just a hypothesis until you test. And if you don't have data from last year, you don't actually know if you are going to convert or you're going to get the clicks for these, and they could waste money. So it's worth it. And if you know you're in a niche where these can work, these gift related or holiday related terms, test them out and create sponsored product campaigns for them. You could bundle them together by STEM and see if they work. And then as Q4 goes on, you just continue to adjust the bids for the ones that are working better. You up the bids for the ones that are actually getting bids and getting clicks and purchases, and just lower the bids or negate or remove the ones that are not getting purchases. So once you find these seasonal related keywords, and if you do want to commit to some of those, then you know you're a niche that tends to get traffic from them. You, again, similar to what we talked about before, with the high converting keywords that you find that are most recent, you're going to do the same thing where you sprinkle them into the listing and the A plus content, the brand story, the bullets, and even the Q&A. These seasonal keywords, unless you're specifically like a gift company, like gift baskets and stuff like that, typically it doesn't make sense to put it in the title. It does only if you're like a gift company. But if it's a brand that is good can be used as a gift, but it's not like, a gift basket, most of the time it doesn't make sense to put these seasonal keywords in the title. The best places for the A plus content, the brand story, the bullets, and the Q&A. So when talking about the Q&A, a great way to better utilize this Q&A section is to get questions that are likely to be asked by people that are buying this product or potentially assessing this product as a gift. So would this make a good gift for an outdoorsy dad? You can't ask these own questions on your listing, but shoppers can. And the more we can encourage that, the better. That's all I'll say on that. You can create the answer and obviously the upvote and downvote questions. Now, you can't manipulate these, but I'll just say it's better if you do have questions that are in the mind of someone who is shopping on your product for the purpose of giving it as a gift. And this section, a lot of people just completely ignore this section and think, oh, well, no, it's out of my control, whatever. But look at this screenshot. It's an entire scroll. I mean, it's huge. And there's Q&A in the Premium A Plus that you can choose yourself and just create the Q&A. There's also Q&A that you can use as a card inside Sponsored Brand. It's one of the cards. It's like 3 questions, 3 answers in the, not Sponsored Brand, Brand Story section. So the Brand Story section has a card type that's 3 questions and 3 answers, and you can customize the questions. So Q&A is a very cool way to kind of get in the mind of the shopper, especially the ones that are thinking about potentially buying this as a gift or buying it for the holiday season. Virtual bundles. This is an awesome way to take up way more space on your own listing. So I'm going to show a graphic in a second. I think it's right after this. Oh, no, it might be later on. Later on in this session, we're going to do a little cool exercise where I show you guys an entire listing that I like manually exported and highlighted to show you which sections of it are owned by you and which sections of it are owned by someone else. One of the most important things you can do to prepare for Q4 is start keeping people from taking away your traffic. And this is one of the cool free ways to do it is virtual bundles. It takes up a huge section that can be almost a full scroll on a desktop. And there's a ton of other ways to do this free as well that don't have to do with PPC, frequently bought together section, product carousels, the shoppable images inside Brand Story. There are a lot of ways to claim back your actual traffic from your own listing. And we're going to get into them when we could talk about brand shielding in a second. But this is one of the coolest ways. All right. Now, we'll get into a little bit of ninja stuff. This is creatives relating to PPC. So what kind of creatives can you include in PPC? Well, back in the day when PPC was released in 2014 or 2015 on Amazon, I think it was the middle of 2014, all you could do was target keywords, and Amazon showed a little thumbnail of your listing to the shopper, and they formatted it themselves. There was absolutely no creative uploads at all. All you did was target keywords. As time has gone on, Amazon has given us more and more creative options. But what I found is that most brands don't utilize this, or the ones that do are utilizing it very wrong or don't know how to do it right. And there absolutely is a right way to do this. So one of the coolest things you can do with custom creatives, and you know what? First of all, let's just go through what the types are. So what custom creatives can you upload with Amazon PPC now? So there's video ads, sponsored brand video that shows up in search. There is that also shows up on brands listings when you target ASINs. There is sponsored brand headline ads where you can upload custom imagery and a custom headline, the store spotlight ad. Then there's sponsored display custom image where you can, again, upload a custom image. And there's sponsored display custom video, which is similar to sponsored brand video, but it shows up on different places on Amazon. And that's a completely custom video. So now there's ways to upload custom text, custom images, and custom videos through sponsored brand and sponsored display ads. And all of that was not possible a few years ago. And what I found is brands really haven't kept up. We've been able to use these custom creatives to achieve pretty incredible results. But the key is that you rarely hit it on the first try. So it takes a lot of split testing to get one that works. But once it does, you can kind of ride it for a long time. So one of the strategies that you can use here coming into Q4 is utilize talking about custom images. We'll start with custom images, which you can upload in sponsored display, and you can also do custom images inside some sponsored brand ad types. You should use a custom image that somehow visually displays a unique selling proposition or a key selling point that's shown in a very like emotional, visceral way that you could get in an instant just by looking at it. We have a recent time that we did this. We uploaded 3 different images for a home products brand in the bedroom products brand. And if you'd asked me which one would perform well, I couldn't have told you. I would have guessed, but I would have had no idea which one would perform well. Um, so we tested it for a few weeks, and the results were completely astounding. Like 2 of them didn't perform well at all. They performed terribly, and one of them performed with excellence and was providing, I think, around 12% ACOS consistently. And this was a custom image sponsored display ad. Sorry, it was a custom image sponsored brand ad. And the only way to find that out was to split test. We didn't know if this image would actually work or not, but it showed how the product packed up, which turned out to be a very important aspect of the product to the shopper. And so we wouldn't have known that. You can come up with hypotheses by looking at your search term reports, but you don't actually know until you split test. So this is the time to get the data back from the creative split testing so that you know what's actually working before you go into Q4. And that's where the magic lies. It's the getting the data back while it's cheap. So again, we go back to this concept of arbitrage. Finding this out in Q4 is infinitely harder and less valuable than finding it out beforehand, getting the creatives that work well, just like we talked about with the keywords, but now we're talking creatives, getting the creatives that work really well, and then juicing them during Q4 because we already know they crush. So this is where we just lay out our competition, and it works extremely well if done right. So with the creatives, talking custom images, especially with images, you want to split test as much as you possibly can and find out the ones that work. And then by the time Q4 rush actually starts, you're already ready to just straight juice it really, really hard. So let's look at this is where you'll see sponsored display, custom image option comes up. So if you want to display some kind of feature that you have that competitors don't, they'll see it above the fold on the listing if you do ASIN targeting with sponsored display. And you could just clean up with this. If you have a particular feature, even if you don't, but you can think of a feature that seems like it's like very unique. Like I think I've actually told this story before on a webinar with you, Lisette, but there was a beer ad, pretty sure it was Coors, that was all about how they use natural spring water for their beer. And that's why it was so good, because they're in the Colorado Rockies or whatever. Well, lots of beer companies use fresh spring water as the water for their beer. It wasn't unique at all, but they went ham on that particular concept. And it makes you think, oh, if they're saying they do use it, that must mean other brands don't use it. So there are really creative ways to think about this. And just like I mentioned with the example that we had just a few weeks ago with the way the product packed into the closet, we didn't know that that was something that would resonate with shoppers until we tested it on the marketplace. So the time to do split test is now. And the same applies for video. So you want to test as many videos as you can, if you can. Not getting video creative assets is way harder than getting image creative assets. So this is more difficult to do, but you never know which one is going to be the winner. You really don't. And I'm going to show an example on the next slide that displays this. That's again from one of our brands. You might, so I have a good friend who sells headphones for kids. This is a really close friend of mine in the industry. He's been with me in Amazon Seller Mastermind since we both started in 2015. And he spent like tens of thousands of dollars on this super well produced ad that was funny. And I actually loved it. He was like the star of it. And it was kind of like those Old Spice ads where they're making all these jokes and walking around a factory and stuff like that. And split tested it against his first video ad, which was just a slideshow of kids using his headphones with images and text over it. Guess what? The high production value one didn't produce. The slideshow one with the kids that was made like for basically for free outperformed it dramatically. So you never know which one, and it's not always like that. Sometimes the high production value one does convert better. And we have our own formula for how to do video ads that work well. And sometimes the one that works lies outside of our philosophy for how to produce video ads that perform well. You just really don't know until you split test it. And you can see from this video, this is a video that we're running right now. Produces 13% ACoS. This is the video. I mean, this is a GIF of the video, so the frame rate's not actually that low, but this is literally it. It's like 35 seconds long. It's got a little bit of fun music in the background, a little bit of text overlay that talks about the benefits of the product, but it's a single shot on iPhone type of, rough and grainy video that just shows the product in use. And guess what? Performs great day after day, week after week. So you really don't know which video is going to work best until you split test it. And the time to do it is before Q4 starts, because once the volume is coming in, like you want to already have found out who the winner is. So you find the winners now, juice the winners in Q4. That is the philosophy when it comes to creatives. Same when it comes to badges. So we do an audit of all of the ASINs that we have under management, and we have thousands of ASINs across all of our brands under management. And we determine which ones have the possibility of getting a badge. And you can see Amazon is actually adding more badges. They're Amazon's Choice. They now have split out into things like popular brand pick, overall pick. So there's more options now to get badges. And then there's, of course, the bestseller badge. If you have any shot of getting the bestseller badge, if you're close in the subcategory, or if there's another applicable subcategory that you're not in that's less competitive that you could get it in, I mean, it's massive, the change that you get from getting the bestseller badge. It's huge. The click-through rate rises dramatically, and the conversion rate rises dramatically in almost every category we've gotten it in. So if there's any shot of getting it, you want to juice it now and get it. And once you get it, keep it, because it's totally worth it. It's one of the best things that you can do to get a higher click-through rate and higher conversion rate. This isn't going to apply to all of you guys because it's difficult to get the bestseller badge. It's literally the top in the subcategory. But the Amazon's Choice badge is also one that you can go for. So the Amazon's Choice badge is keyword by keyword. But if you get it for a keyword that has significant search volume, it can have a big impact on your click-through rate, at least for that keyword. So it's the same concept of arbitrage. Get it now, exploit it later. Pricing, it's a similar thing. Run promotions now up front to juice and help get your ranking increased, because it increases your click-through rate, increases your conversion rate. And then you harvest that spot later on. So the wrong thing to do is wait until Q4 starts and then try to get competitive and win the click by lowering the price and getting into a price war. If you can do a clickable coupon, if you have the margins to get a clickable coupon, strike through price, even a slightly lower price in general, or on the listing, buy one, get one, and other special promotions under the special promotion section, now's the time to do it, because that helps feed those organic positions that you'll get that you can then cement, and you can make all the margin when the volume is really high, rather than doing what most sellers do, which is the exact opposite of that. And they wait until Q4 starts and then they start running all these promotions. Now, it's still a good idea to get lightning deals and 7-day deals if you can get them through the period, because it helps increase the sales velocity in general and helps you keep the spots that you have. But for the most part, you want to try to get all of this upfront before Q4 even starts. So you guys can see how most of the Q4 work happens before. Once you get to Q4, it's like you should already be chilling in your roller coaster, ready for the ride. You already set up the whole track and figured it all out and did everything that you need to do before it even starts. That's the idea. All right, let's talk shielding. This is one of the quick wins, low-hanging fruit that all of you guys can do no matter what. And it can have a huge, huge impact throughout Q4. This is what I was alluding to earlier. So what this is a continuous scroll of a whole listing from beginning to end. And so I did this myself just recently, like a week ago, so that it's fresh and relevant. And everything I've highlighted in orange is not the brand. So this brand Boca, anything that's in orange is selling other brands' products. Look at how much of the listing is selling other brands' products. And this is a brand that's doing well. This brand is actually nailing it. They've got a lot of the spots that would be taken by other brands. They've already taken it back. They're doing an excellent job shielding. And this is what excellent looks like. So you can imagine, I mean, it's a huge amount of your listing that's selling other brands' products. It's not your listing. It's not like a website where like you control all the messaging. Amazon owns your listing, not you. And in Q4, this gets just hyper amplified. There are brands that are able to find you, similar to how we talked about before, of like targeting a brand that doesn't have a particular feature, and we get them with a custom image or a custom video that shows that feature, and we snipe all their sales with cheap clicks with ASIN targeting and let them spend all the expensive clicks with keyword targeting. That's what other brands are doing to you. That's what they're doing to us. And we need to keep them from doing that, because there is a brand out there that is going to find a way to show that they're better. Either they're better priced, they have better ratings, or they have features that we don't have. And they're going to be sniping all of our sales from our own listings by finding a way to show that. And the really good brands have really sophisticated ad strategies, like our brands do this. So they're going to do it to you. And the way to stop that is by having brand shielding in place. There are a lot of ways to do this, but the main ways are sponsored product ASIN targeting shield campaigns, sponsored brand ASIN targeting shielding campaigns, sponsored display ASIN targeting shielding campaigns, and then branded search term shielding campaigns. So each of those in order, I'm going to go back to this listing. Sponsored display shielding campaigns means I'm ASIN targeting my own other ASINs, advertising my ASIN on my other ASINs using sponsored display. And that's in this upper left quadrant, what you can see here, these sponsored display ads. And also in the very top of the first leftmost scroll. Those are all sponsored display ads. You can also see one on the third scroll. That's a sponsored display ad as well. Also at the very bottom of the listing, that's also sponsored display ads. So these spots you could take back by advertising your own ASINs on your other own ASINs and take all the sponsored display spots. Sponsored product spots are, you could see at the bottom of the first scroll, you can see at the top of the third scroll, and you can see near the bottom of the final scroll as well. Those are all sponsored product ASIN targeting spots. These are possibly the most important ones to grab, because most of the ad spots that are on your listing are sponsored product ASIN targeting ad spots. So those are, you absolutely, every single brand that we manage, we do brand defense campaigns and shielding campaigns like this for all of the ASINs on all the other ASINs. But if you have a lot of ASINs, if you're a brand that has hundreds or thousands of ASINs, or even many dozens, through Q4, focus on the highest converting, highest selling ones. That's not that you're going to ignore the rest of your products, but you can only advertise so many products on a listing. You want to get the ones that are getting the most clicks and the most sales. It's just Darwinian evolution style. You got to let the best product shine throughout this period. And that's what we do for the brands that we manage that have lots of ASINs, many dozens or hundreds of ASINs. And then there's sponsored brand defense campaigns. You could see those in the middle, the top of the third scroll. And they also, not on this listing, but a lot of times they show up near the bottom of the listing as well. So these are all the different ways to shield your brand from competitor traffic. And the reason that this is so important in Q4 is that you get a double benefit from this. So not only are you possibly getting a sale by getting a click on an ad spot that's relatively cheap, but you also kept someone else from stealing the sale when they were already on your listing. So you actually get a double benefit from it, because you keep someone from taking away a sale that you were about to get because they were already on your listing. Then you also get the opportunity to get your own sale. And these really are two distinct benefits. People don't really understand when we say this, because a lot of brands don't like to do brand defense campaigns because they don't want to pay for their own traffic. And it's completely ludicrous. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Every brand should be doing brand defense campaigns. Every brand, every single brand. imagine, all these spots, right? You see all of them in yellow here, your orange yellow here. They're all selling another brand's product, right? If I could replace this with just a regular generic advertisement for Amazon.com themselves, I would, right? Even if it wasn't selling my product, at least it's not selling other products that are exactly the same as mine, but not mine. And it just has a nice little Amazon logo in it. Okay, it's annoying. It takes up space. It's way better than not someone selling someone else's product, right? So if I could do that, I would do it. That's one benefit, just not having competitors selling their stuff on my listing and having a more likelihood that someone buys my product while they're on my listing. But I get yet another benefit of that. I'm actually replacing it with an ad for another one of my own products. So I get a secondary benefit besides keeping them from not buying my original product. I also give them an opportunity to buy another product. So these literally are ads that give you double the benefit. You just can't see them in the numbers because you don't see the opportunity cost of competitors buying your products. So that's shielding. Some other Q4 related stuff. Now, I'll say this stuff is not as critical as what we talked about before. The main thing is this arbitrage concept of doing the split test ahead of time, getting the keywords that are converting best ahead of time, doing everything, getting ranking ahead of time, doing all of that ahead of time so that you can harvest throughout Q4. This stuff is the stuff that most people focus on that can have an impact, but a lot of times it's marginal. So you could do holiday centered posts like this. There are a lot of brands that do really well with this. We do this. We have a post service where we actually create the post for brands, and we do this as part of our post service. Holiday centered posts focus on gift terms, gift avatars, and the images. You can use holiday centered imagery. Christmas is the main one in the States, and create a separate post for each of your list of gift terms. So each niche, each style, each avatar, each buyer intent that's related, you can make a post for that. And the ones that are popular, Amazon tends to show them more. Like some posts can just go viral and get more views inside Amazon just from its own algorithm. And then you can do a holiday gift section on your storefront. And this is really cool because you could drive external traffic there. So you could see this with High Key. This is another one of AJ Patel's brand. That guy just kills it. Holiday favorites, awesome, high in awesome holidays. So they know that their product tends to be purchased as a gift. This is one way to encourage that further and to let people know they found the right spots. All right, a few fundamentals to have in place. And I know we're running a little bit low on time if we still want to do Q&A here, so I'm going to go fast. Definitely have remarketing in place before Q4 starts because that's a super high relevant audience that's really, really likely to convert. So sponsored display remarketing is the way to do this. There's views remarketing and purchase remarketing. The reason this is so important during Q4 is because people shop around. All throughout the year, people are buying stuff that they need because they're buying for themselves. But in Q4, people are buying for other people. So they tend to shop around a lot more. They're going to find the options. Then they might ask someone's opinion or ask the person they're buying the gift for their opinion. And so it becomes really important to have this remarketing in place, especially the views remarketing. The purchase remarketing is great all year long. People who purchase your product remarketing to them again. But views remarketing is especially important during the holiday period. And most of the time, you're going to focus on the shortest look back periods possible because it's most relevant to them. But the best way to do this is split test every look back period. For those of you guys that don't know, when you're setting up a sponsored display remarketing campaign, you get to choose how far back somebody saw the listing before you start advertising to them. And ideally, you want to go as short as possible, but you should split test every look back period. So am I remarketing to people who saw my product within the last 7 days? Am I remarketing to people who saw my product within the last 30 days, et cetera? And you can go all the way up to 90 days with sponsored display remarketing. So here's just how to set it up. You go to sponsored display, the one all the way on the right here. Optimize for conversions. You can also try optimize for page visits. Sometimes that works better, but optimize for conversions should be your default. And then over here, you see views remarketing, advertised products. That's the one you want to add. Advertised products, and then the look back period you could see in the middle here. It says 30 days. The best way to do this is split test every look back period, not 90 days. You don't need to do 90 days because the holiday period isn't even 90 days long, but 60 days, 30 days, 14 days, and 7 days. You want to split test all the look back periods. And I would start this now so that you could start adjusting bids on the look back periods that work best before you get into the holiday period. So these are the two types: views remarketing and purchase remarketing. But like I said, you'll really want to focus a lot of effort on views remarketing throughout the Q4 period, because you're getting people who are shopping around and they visited your listing, but then they clicked off and they didn't buy. And by the way, you don't have to, but you can do custom images, even custom video for your remarketing campaigns. So, I mean, this is something that's so underutilized. Like, if you know somebody viewed your listing and you know the reason that people tend to shop around or not trust, because you have your own FAQ document and you know the negative reviews, you've done negative review analysis, you can make a custom image and a custom video that speaks particularly to that reason. Again, I wouldn't freeball this and just try this out of the blue in the middle of, or at the end of November or the beginning of December or something like that. I would try to get data back on this earlier rather than later so that you can get the ones, juice them, that actually work throughout Q4. All right, here's another like standard type of campaign that you want to have in place. We call it step campaigns. This is a type of setup that is very simple, but no one ever did it until we kind of tested it because it seems impossible. Some of you guys may have heard me talk about this before. I did a YouTube video on it as well. But you set up a sponsored product campaign, you go to manual targeting, you select product targeting, and then you select exact, check the little exact box, make sure the expanded box is not checked. And then you put your own ASIN in the ASIN box, and you're targeting your own ASIN, the same ASIN that you're advertising. So you're advertising an ASIN, targeting its own very same ASIN, which hypothetically would put this ad on that same ASIN's own listing. But that doesn't make any sense, right? Because you can't advertise your own product on your own product's listing, because if they click the ad, nothing would happen. They're already on the listing. So what this actually acts as far as we found, is Amazon doesn't show the ad there, but they show the ad to shoppers who have just viewed your listing. And it seems to be, from what we can deduce, almost instantaneous, that they'll visit your listing and then they continue shopping around and they'll be back in search results, and suddenly they see your ad in search results after having viewed your listing. So this is great for the Q4 period when shoppers are shopping all around and they're checking a bunch of different options because they're shopping for someone else. If you have this on, I mean, some of you guys have seen me like present on this topic before, because this was actually kind of a controversy. Amazon, we're a official Amazon Ads verified partner. So we actually have a point of contact at Amazon Ads team that we talk to. And I did an interview with you, Lisette, at the Helium 10 conference, and Amazon saw it and they started passing it around, and they actually emailed me quite concerned that we were like hacking Amazon in some way for this
yeah, I remember you were telling me that people were reaching out to you, and sellers also were really excited about the strategy you were sharing. I think it was something that I personally also never heard before, and was the first time when I was hearing from you.
Yeah, so this is that very same tactic. And just by the way, if you guys are getting really excited hearing about this, there is a caveat here. It doesn't produce a very high volume of sales, because it only targets people who have visited your listing and then they've gone back to search results. So there's not that many people, right? There's not that many listing visits daily. So you don't get a huge volume of sales from this, but they tend to be very lean. I mean, we have these campaigns running for every single one of our brands, and we get consistent 13% ACOS, 8% ACOS, 15% ACOS. We have one campaign that's been running, it'll do like 75,000 a year at 5% ACOS, 5.08% ACOS. So, I mean, it can be super lean sales that you get from this. And the reason it's so important in Q4 is because there's way more shopping around, and shoppers are more likely to click on your listing and click back off. And this acts as effective sponsored product retargeting. So it's really valuable. So I'm not going to go into inventory management because this is a PPC focused Q4 prep. But as we're wrapping up, I just wanted to have one slide here, because if you don't nail this, everything we talked about is pointless. And it's crazy how often this happens. And I'm guilty of it. I've done this so many times with my own brand where I just didn't properly forecast, have the inventory, pay more if you have to, have 3PLs ready to go that they could pump more stock into local FBA fulfillment centers as needed. Do your homework ahead of time to make sure you have the stock ready for Q4. It's not too late. You can manage your supply chain now to make sure that you have the stock ahead of time. But I mean, we have brands that we're partnered with for PPC that we already know that we're somewhat hamstrung with them because they refuse to purchase the inventory ahead of time. So yeah, so make sure you have your inventory management on lock. That's kind of foundational. It's like you're not even in the race if you don't do this. So all the tactics about winning the race are pointless unless you do this. So if nothing else is handled, handle this, your inventory, then get into the cool, fun, funky stuff. So yeah, that's it. I want to make sure we have time for Q&A. I know I went over time there. Sorry, guys. I hope that was really valuable to you. I quickly wanted to mention we have an event coming up. It's called the Profitable PPC Challenge. It's on September 18th. We've done this 2 times before. It sold out both times. What you're seeing right now on my screen is a scroll of real comments from sellers who attended our last event. They got so much value out of it. It's basically like the amount of value you'd get out of a $10,000 mastermind, but for $47 and in 5 days. It is a time commitment, but if you can commit the time to showing up, it's not that much time. It's an hour each day you have to show up to live sessions. And then you have the option to show up to office hours where you actually get your own problem solved by me and my senior strategists on the PPC team. And then you also get asynchronous chats where mentors help you with your PPC problems. And they're honestly, my mentors are amazing. They're going in, recording looms, recording voice notes, looking deep at people have been posting their search term reports and stuff. I mean, it's crazy. Everyone gets the help they need to advance their PPC and solve their PPC problem. So when you come in with your own PPC problems. You might be at any stage of the journey. We've got everywhere from 6-figure sellers to 9-figure sellers who have come into this challenge and been transformed by it. So whatever stage you're at, you can transform your ability to produce results for your brand with PPC by joining the challenge. And we really want sellers who are dedicated to and actually can show up. So if you can't show up, if you absolutely can't show up to the live session because you have to drive your kids to school or something like that, that's okay. We give you a 24-hour link that you can view before the next day. But this becomes like we're all in it together. That's the reason why it's something that does take a little bit of a commitment, because everyone's on the train together. And literally, like last time we did this, there were like 2 or 3 sellers that were like crying on the last day because they were so blown away, so connected to everybody, and had such a transformative experience. It's literally, if you commit to it, I can promise you that you come out the other end of 5 days completely transformed in your ability to use PPC to produce results for the brand. And we have amazing case studies for this. So I'd love to see you guys there. I think Lisette, you have a special link for Orange Click guys.
Yeah, it's in the description of the video, so you can click on it. And what I wanted to say about the challenge, I didn't participate in it in myself, but I have seen many Orange Click followers taking part of it earlier and really enjoying it. I think also during our last in-person event in Lithuania, you were able to meet with some of the people who kind of had first experience with you as an expert through that challenge, and they were super excited to meet you in person as well. So definitely a great way to learn more about PPC. And actually, we have one question about the challenge or the workshop. So Hekamu is asking, do you facilitate the PPC workshop yourself?
Yes, it's me. I'm there live. Like, that's what's crazy about this event, is that every day I show up live, and every single person who signs up, this isn't like a webinar where like you come in and the number of webinar attendees goes from 180 to 181 and nobody notices. When you register for this, if you're accepted, there's a little application process. Basically, you just have to be live and selling on Amazon and commit to coming each day. But if you could do that, you'll be accepted through the application process. Your name gets added to our database, and we actually, we all study you ahead of time. And you come in and we know whether you show up each day or not. And moderators will reach out to you and be like, hey, how was the content? You know, how were you able to implement it? Or they'll be like, hey, I noticed you didn't show up. Do you need the replay link? Want to make sure that you can make it tomorrow. It's a real deep community. And I keep an 8-to-1 participant to mentor ratio, which is absurd. Like, any community or mastermind that you know of is going to be more like 80-1 participants to mentors. I keep an 8-1 participant to mentor ratio. So it's bonkers. And I personally facilitate it live every day. I show up there. I'm in all the chats as well, personally. And I have a bunch of my senior PPC strategists, mentors, other brand owners, to help everyone out in those chats. So yeah, this isn't like a pre-recorded thing or like a bait and switch thing where I get you guys signed up and then some rando that you don't know shows up. You show up there, it's live with me. I'm there with you, interacting with you throughout the whole time. And I keep it super dense. So the value comes in like firepower, like super, super fast. Like if people have it on in the background or something, they miss it. You miss so much with every minute that you're not paying attention, because we literally go through our whole internal playbook for producing results with PPC. Every ad type, sponsored product, sponsored brand, sponsored display, we go through creative, we go through retargeting, we go through the whole framework for how to determine what campaigns to set up based on your particular product's characteristics, so that it's not random to you. You have like an order of operations in your head. It's really an experience. It's pretty amazing. I'd recommend you guys to come if you're interested in this, and it will absolutely sell out. So if you do want to do it, I would sign up now. The last 2 completely sold out.
I can tell you're excited about it.
Yeah. Oh, can you?
I can. And also, I wanted to say big thanks for sharing everything you know today with us. I didn't have a chance because you went straight into introducing the challenge. I think everything you explained today gives a pretty good overview for the sellers about different areas they have to take care of or plan ahead for the Q4. So everybody watching us live, please like the video to show support to Chris coming here today, and also for us, because then we can bring more webinars like this to you. And if you don't subscribe to our Orange Click channel yet, then definitely subscribe to our channel as well to see more videos like this with Chris and also other Amazon experts. And as you know, we have some good questions for you as well. So I hope you're ready to share a little bit more what you know about Amazon PPC and Q4.
Yeah. Let's rock it. Let's rock and roll. Do some questions.
Okay. So first question is about launching products. You briefly talked about it, but let's go over a few things again. So Sinan is asking, can we launch in Q4? And there was another question I would like to bring up at the same time. So what about if I'm launching a new product in Q4? I don't have much data on it except the 25 unit test we did in June. So what do you think? Is it still a good idea to launch the products now in Q4?
Yeah, absolutely. You can launch in Q4. It's a whole different game, but you wouldn't want to have the product ready to launch and wait until Q4 is over to launch after Q4. So if those are the 2 options, definitely launch it in Q4. I see that you say you did a 25 unit test in June. If it was just 25 units, you're going to want to create a new ASIN if it's still possible. You don't absolutely have to do this, but it'd be better for you to create a new ASIN and launch under that new ASIN in Q4 rather than that same ASIN that you did the test with, because you will miss out on the honeymoon period. Now, Amazon, when you launch in Q4, is going to have 3-4 months data proving that your product doesn't sell, or it sits stagnant, or it's always out of stock, which is bad. You don't want Amazon's algorithm to have that much bad data on you to start with. And that's why the honeymoon period is so powerful. The honeymoon period is the first 35 days that the product is live for a brand new product. And Amazon kind of gives you free reign during this period. You can rank much easier. You can get a lot more visibility on you can move organic rankings much quicker, and you can get more visibility on your PPC ads. It's just way easier during this honeymoon period. And since you guys did that test in June, you just spent your honeymoon period and lost it. So if it's still not too late, is it Hexamove? Hexamove. I would launch under a new ASIN so you still have that honeymoon period.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more about honeymoon period, then you can go over to our channel. We do have videos about it as well. So you can just use the search feature and find the video. And I think we have one with Bradley Sutton, and also a
Nice.
couple of ones which are related more to launching and PPC and honeymoon period. So hopefully you will find more information for yourself. So next question comes from Barry, and Barry says, "Hi Chris, I have watched all of your videos on OrangeClick, and I love what you do. I'm currently using fixed bids, and campaigns are working well. So should I turn those campaigns to down only during Q4?"
You don't have to do that. I mean, if it's working well, you will likely have to up your bids through Q4. You just have to monitor it nonstop to see what kind of placements and impressions you're getting and where your placements are. So if you're trying to get top of search, for instance, you're either going to have to continuously up the bid or or increase the top of search bid adjuster as you go into Q4 because bids get more competitive throughout that period. But it depends on what the campaign is for. So we actually use, it's funny, a lot of sellers are very scared to use up and down bidding. We use it all the time. We use up and down bidding when we have problems getting placements, or we don't know how high we have to go in order to win the click or win the placement, or when we're doing a discovery campaign where we're trying to discover new keywords or discover new ASIN targets with expanded product targeting. We'll use up and down bids because it gives Amazon free reign to bid whatever's necessary for us to win that placement. So depending on what kinds of campaigns you're running, Barry, you might even consider up and down throughout in Q4, because if bids are increasing to a lot and you still want to win the placement, you're going to lose it if you're fixed or down only if they dramatically increase from September 15th to September 25th. So certain campaigns that you really are dedicated to, that you just know you need in order to rank for the keyword or in order to defend the listing, or because you have a custom creative that is working really well, it can actually be valuable to do up and down to give Amazon the leeway to bid what's necessary for you to get that placement that you should get.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. So let's take another one. So you were talking about choosing, I think, 5 to 20 high converting keywords. So a question, how do you find them, or how do you make sure which ones are the ones you need?
Yeah, so the way to do this is export your search term report, and you're going to sort by orders. So you're looking at the ones that produce the most orders. And then you take the ones from the highest order volume and you choose the ones that have the highest conversion. So what this does is it gives you the search terms that are producing a good amount of sales and also highest converting. Because if you sorted by the highest converting, you're going to find some long tail search terms that produce one sale or two sales at 100% conversion rate because they were your branded search terms. But those aren't terms that are going to be a priority for you because they don't produce a high volume of sales. So you sort by volume of sales, and then from that top list, you pick out the ones that convert the highest. And that's how you create that list of terms that you use to then optimize your thumbnail, optimize your listing, target for ranking, and everything else. Optimize images, create custom creative from. That becomes your kind of like Bible that you do everything by.
Okay, perfect. Let's take another question for you. We still have very good questions for you, so I hope you're ready. So
Yeah.
Hekamove, so actually this was his or her first question. Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for everything. We launched our product in April, so we don't have data from last year. So
No,
how
that's fine.
how should we anticipate forecast sales for this Q4? And I guess right now they're probably selling around 3 to 4 units a day.
Yeah, it's cool. That's kind of like an X factor to have that data from last year. It can give you super valuable data, and you'll have it next year, which is great. But you don't need it. So if you want to forecast sales, because the question is about anticipating or forecasting sales, you can use. There are lots of tools that will show you how seasonal products are in your category. So you can use Helium 10's plugin, for example, and you look at competitors to see how much of a boost they tend to get during Q4. So is this a space where it's like 8x the sales in Q4, or is it a space where it's like 2x the sales in Q4? That's one way to get an understanding, is look at the competitors and use analysis tools to find out their sales history. But the other thing to do is to use your own most recent search term reports and just take the highest converting keywords and do that exercise that we talked about with just those. So you don't have the keywords from last year, that's fine. Use the actual data you have from your search term reports now for the highest converting keywords that you're going to optimize everything with to prepare for a Q4. Try to rank on those. And then for the gift related keywords, you're just going to use keyword research tools like Helium 10. And that will get you some gift related keywords that you can, as a hypothesis, test out throughout Q4. But as I said in the session, don't put an enormous amount of effort on those, because that's just a hypothesis until you have actual data. Unless it's a gift product like a gift basket or a gift kit or something like that, we don't go crazy on the gift keywords. It's just, you have hypotheses and you test it, you give it enough budget, enough bid to actually find out if it's working. And then as you go through Q4, you can juice ones that are working, but it's a minority of what your sales are going to be.
Okay. So a question about split testing. We briefly talked about it during your presentation as well. So how should sellers split test if they are still waiting for brand registry approval? Is it just testing ourselves and then tracking the details, or how would you do it?
Yep. So the way to do this is you just upload, like say you're split testing the primary image, you just upload another primary image, and then as time passes, you're recording each day the click-through rate and the sessions, and then you change to another image after 10 days or 2 weeks, and then record it again. And you can record it so that you get all the data. But if you don't have the manpower to do that, to be logging in each day and filling in like a daily sales tracker, you can export your search term report for that period of time and just look at the click-through rate. That, if we're talking about primary image, we're talking about click-through rate. If we're talking about primary image, look at the click-through rate for the primary search term, or a kind of like indicator search term. So you'll find one search term you're really going to focus on, and then measure the click-through rate for the period before you make the change and the period after you make the change. And that's how you do the split test. That gives you data that's relevant.
Okay, and we have one more question regarding split testing. So when we're split testing creative, it's very time sensitive, because for them, they have about 4 weeks until Q4 right now. So what's the best way to prioritize what the sellers watching us should test out?
The main stuff is the things that show up in the thumbnail. So it's the primary image and the title. Those are the most important things, the primary image and the title. Everything in the listing is actually more difficult to split test, because it's hard to get data back from that. Like when you change something in the A+ content, or you change something in your brand story, or you change the secondary images, a lot of times the data is too volatile for you to get the actual change. It takes way more data to come back, because the change is going to be more subtle. Whereas changes in the click-through rate for the primary image, you can get that data back very quickly. A lot of times it's super obvious. When you change something in the title or change something in the primary image, the click-through rate for your primary keyword or a bank of primary keywords can go up dramatically. And you're like, whoa, I just got like a 40% more clicks. My click-through rate went from 0.8% to 1.2%, So that'd be 50% more. But yeah, somewhere along those lines. So those are the most important ones. The other stuff, you may not have time to split test, but there are formulas that you can follow for everything on the listing, from the secondary images to the A+ content to the brand story. And actually, we have videos with Lisette, and I have recorded videos on every one of those topics. And those are safe formulas to go by, because they're backed by our data. So we've done thousands of listings with these formulas and done our own split tests to come up with these formulas. So if you're trying to figure out what A+ content works best, or what brand story works best, or what secondary images work best, and you don't have time to split test it, go with a proven formula like one of the ones that we go over in the YouTube channel, in the Orange Click YouTube channel with Lisette. They work great.
Yeah, I think we even have a separate playlist, if I'm not mistaken, with which includes videos we have recorded together with you. And as Chris said, usually you provide very step-by-step formula, so it's really easy to understand what's most important to showcase within those modules, and then also follow along and do it yourself. So yeah, but thanks for the answer as well. We still have a few questions for you. So Marco is asking, hi Chris, why doesn't Amazon show the Q&A section anymore? So yeah, I have seen a lot of people actually talking about it, that the Q&A section kind of disappeared and then came back again. So what do
Yeah.
you know about it?
Yeah, it depends on what category you're in. Amazon's been messing around with the listing a lot, actually. It's changing. It's sometimes the bullets don't show up, the Q&A doesn't show up. Sometimes the brand story and the A plus are in totally different orders or in totally different sections. So it depends on your category. That's why I said the main thing you want to do is check your mobile listing and go through it yourself to find out what it looks like from top to bottom, and then optimize what you have, what is showing for your shoppers. And by the way, when you're checking it out, I would check it on someone else's phone too and try VPNing it, because it could be different on your phone versus someone else's phone, and geolocate. It could be different from geolocation too. So try to get as anonymous a beta test as you can of what your listing looks like, and go for it. And if you don't have the Q&A section, you can make your own using premium A plus content. It looks almost exactly the same, actually. It's like a Q&A section with arrows and stuff like that, and drop downs. And you get to choose the questions and the answers, which is cool. So that's what I mentioned before. If you don't have that, you can make your own inside premium A plus content. And if you don't have access to premium A plus content, you can get it just by having brand story uploaded on all your ASINs and doing 15 A plus content upload applications. You don't have to have 15 ASINs. You just have to have 15 upload applications for A plus content, and then you'll get access to premium A plus content if you request it. And then finally, the other way to get a quick Q&A on your listing that can help you with holiday related or gift related questions is using the brand story Q&A module. So the brand story has a module called the Q&A module where you pick questions and you pick answers to those questions. And that can work as well.
Okay, yeah, thanks for including the tip about premium A plus content. That's a good one. Okay, so we have another question from Alex. It's in two parts, so let me just go through everything for you. So, hi Chris, thank you. We sell baby products with two relevant keywords, where all the sales come from baby feeding set with ACOS of around 71%, and the other keyword is silicone baby feeding set with ACOS 39%. So one around 70, another one around 40. And it has been like this for about 8 months. So the question now is, should we give up on the one with the high ACOS at this stage? So I will just display the first part again for you.
Yep. So you have baby feeding set and silicone baby feeding set. So silicone baby feeding set is almost certainly lower search volume because it's more specific, because it has the material in it. So it's going to be lower search volume, higher relevance than the baby feeding set, because people are searching for exactly your product. And I'm assuming that there are some products that are made out of different materials that are not silicone. So it's going to be difficult for you to let go of the baby feeding set, being that that's probably producing a lot of sales, but it's a lot higher cost for you. So the way to answer this question is, after all of this time advertising on these search terms, is baby feeding set, is all that traffic you drove to baby feeding set helping you rank organically for the keyword? And if it is, if you're actually ranking on page 1 for baby feeding set, then it's worth it to keep spending, because even though you're not profitable at 71% ACOS, and that's quite high, it's keeping you in that organic position. So what you're not seeing is the organic sales that result from that spend. So the ACOS is high, but the TACOS might be low, the total average cost of sale. However, after all these months of spending on baby feeding set, you're not ranking on page 1 for the term, then you're just basically throwing money down the drain, and it doesn't make sense anymore. So in that case, I would go hard on silicone baby feeding set, really try to rank as high as I can for that, pour as much ad spend into that in all ad types, sponsored product, sponsored brand, sponsored display. And I'd even target the other brands that are ranking for that term, silicone baby feeding set, with their own ASIN targeted campaigns. sponsored product ASIN targeting, sponsored brand ASIN targeting, and sponsored display ASIN targeting, and just go so hard on that search term, and then reduce the spend on that primary search term. So those are the two roads that you could take. And the way to determine which road it is whether or not you're gaining organic ranking from advertising on baby feeding set.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for diving into it and sharing your thoughts with us. Okay, so some comments nicely explained. Very good. We're happy you liked it, and if not yet, if you haven't done it yet, then definitely like this video as well. As said before. So let's go to another question then. So you talked very briefly, and it's not so related to today's topic a little bit, but do you have any formula for inventory forecasting, particularly for newer brands, because it's very connected with launching products and having PPC going as well?
Yeah, it's difficult, right? Because the Q4 forecasting is hard when you're launching a new brand. You don't know how much you're going to sell. So the best way to do this is look at your own sales data over the last 2 months and then try to come up with a multiple based on what kind of bump competitors see with using your analysis of their seasonal search bump using tools like Helium 10. And then apply that same multiple to your sales to get what you expect to sell through that period. And that's the best that you can do when you don't have data from a previous Q4.
Okay, cool. So I think we still have a few last questions for you. Before that, some good words from the viewers. Barry says extremely helpful. Thank you so much. You're a legend.
Thanks,
Mark,
bro.
Mark also says thank you, and also Alex is very happy about your insights you shared. So let's take one of the last
Awesome.
questions
Thank you,
then.
guys.
So Andy's asking, whenever I add my ASINs in sponsored product exact match, I notice it says exclude my brand name. For example, if my brand name is Toma, it says exclude Toma. So what does it mean, and does it not show on my listing?
So I'm assuming that this is targeting. Oh, sorry, adding my ASIN to sponsor. Okay, so you're targeting the ASIN. So wait, add my ASINs and sponsor product exact match. So I'm not sure if we're talking about keyword targeting exact match or ASIN exact targeting, but I'm assuming it's ASIN exact targeting. And it's not going to show on your own listing because Amazon doesn't show your product ads on that same product's own listing, but it will show it. It will show it even if you target your own listing. It will show it in search results after people have visited your listing. And then the other thing you can do is advertise your other ASINs on your other ASINs listings. And that's the brand shielding effect that we talked about before. So yeah, I think Amazon's probably just telling you, look, we can't advertise your product on that same product's own listing. And it's always been like that. That is true. But it doesn't matter because that's not the effect we're going for anyway. We're trying to get people who have visited the listing and then gone back to search results to keep looking for other stuff.
Okay, very good. So Hekamu has another question for you. So how do you manage up and down bidding? We did it to start, but found we were spending a lot. So how long to let it ride before switching to down only? Don't want to lose sales once we switch to down.
Yeah, that will happen. Yeah. So the only time to use up and down is if you're not getting placements, and you know you need to get the placement. So it lets Amazon find the bid that will work to get you that placement and win it. But a lot of times it's not worth it, is what you find out. So that you do it enough to get the data, and then you switch to down only once you get an idea of what bid is necessary for you to get that placement. And then the key is a lot of times you'll be spending all of your budget early in the day when your daily budget runs out. So you think, oh, this is really expensive, but you actually spent all of your budget during the lowest converting part of the day. So you had to bid really high to get those clicks. And then you spent your whole budget, and then you didn't advertise throughout the rest of the day when the conversion was actually higher. Like when people get home from work, a lot of times they make the purchase decision then, whereas they browse in the beginning of the day during work, but don't purchase. So be careful that you're not seeing that effect where you're not just running out of budget in the worst converting parts of the day because your bid was so high and it was spending your budget. So use up and down when you need to identify bids that will win you the placement. Then once you identify what that bid is, then you go to down only or fixed and start adjusting it, making sure that your budget is lasting throughout the day to whatever you can afford and whatever is actually economical. So it's like a stepwise thing. Like once you find a benchmark to use as the bid, you can use that and then make sure that your budget can last throughout the day and that you're not like running out of budget in the middle of the day. And then decrease or increase the bid as needed once you find that little benchmark.
Okay, cool. So, more thank yous. Thank you, Chris. This is incredibly helpful. You're Amazon King. Thank you so much. And also, Anne says, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge.
Damn, what a good crowd. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're super happy you find this webinar helpful. And if you have any friends who are also selling on Amazon and you think they might not have heard about OrangeClick before, definitely share our channel with them as well, because we're actually missing only a few people to reach 17,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So soon we will have a little celebration.
So cool. Pop some bottles.
Exactly. So to kind of wrap up with everything, we're so thankful you took time to be here with us today. We have two final questions and kind of you can talk about both at the same time. So one question is about your workshop. So is there a fee for the PPC challenge? You name it like this. And then also another question about your other services you normally offer for Amazon sellers. So maybe first give us an overview again about the challenge, what's the fee, and then also what other services do you offer for Amazon sellers?
Yeah, the challenge is $47. Yeah, so that's it. 5 days, $47. It's literally, we make nothing on the challenge. We make negative on the challenge because the only reason we have a ticket prices at all is so that only committed sellers come in. With the amount that we spend on mentors and my time and all of the content putting together and all of the fulfillment throughout the week, it's like nowhere near break even. The reason we do it this way is because we know some portion of people will end up being qualified for assessment to be a PPC partner of ours, which is where we really can, partner together to produce results. And that's when it actually makes sense for us and for brands that apply for that. So, but yeah, so it's a cost of sushi dinner, but you get a whole PPC transformation out of it. So definitely worth it if you're interested in it. And I'd love to see you guys there. For the crowd that we have here today is great, super engaged, awesome questions, super grateful, super cool. I'd love to see you guys there in the challenge and interact with you each day. And then, yeah, when it comes to our PPC offerings, so we have a PPC partner program where the way we do it is actually a little different. We are able to work with sellers at all stages because our pricing model is tiered. We basically like partner up with you in a way in which we're sort of like investors in your brand. We only actually win if you win and if we're producing results together. The way our service works is unlike anything else, and that's why we've grown so fast, and we've actually had to slow down so that we can only work with the brands that really make sense to work with. We look at PPC as a holistic picture. Like I was mentioning earlier, we have like our PPC senior PPC strategist can do everything relating to PPC campaign configuration for the brand. So all the different brand shielding, brand offense, keyword ranking campaigns, the retargeting campaigns, sponsor product, sponsor brand, sponsor display, everything they're masters in. And we have an internal library and an internal mastermind that we only run with ourselves, our own senior strategist and me and the leader of our team, where those strategies are constantly being advanced and applied to accounts. When accounts have problems, we all work on it together. They bring it to the mastermind. They're like, okay, we have this account, it's having a challenge, it's not ranking well for this keyword, like what can we try? And we all work on the problem together. So it's like getting a whole team on board, but for much less than the price of a single full-time person. So it's pretty incredible what we're able to do. But then there's another element to it. So that's everything kind of what we call above the line. Then there's stuff that's below the line, and that's the foundational element. And what our senior strategist does is you get basically paired with a senior strategist. You become actually very close to this person. They're in your account. They're setting the strategy for their account. They're helping you to align your PPC campaign structure with your goals. But what they're also doing is they're assessing your products for issues in either click-through rate or conversion rate. And each one of those buckets have a whole science of different effectors underneath them. So in click-through rate, they're going to find out, okay, your click-through rate, you have an issue with click-through rate. So maybe you need to split test your primary image. Maybe you need to split test different pricing. Maybe you need to try a different title or reassess the title relevance. Maybe we need to go after some badges, some climate pledge friendly badge, small business badge. Maybe we have to try clickable coupon. There are tons of things to try when we don't have a good click-through rate. Conversion rate, the same thing. If we see that the conversion rate is below benchmark, we're going to help you determine what needs to be done on your end to fix that problem. Do we have negative reviews that are upvoted? Do we not have the right secondary images? Are we missing a competitor comparison graphic? Do we need new A+ content? Do we need to upload a brand story module? All of that stuff, the senior strategist lets you know what's holding your PPC back outside of the world of PPC. And this is where no PPC partner or freelancer is ever going to be able to provide this level of value. And this is why our brands that partner with us do so well, is because we look at it as a holistic picture. We look at the PPC and we're absolute masters of PPC because we eat, sleep, live, and breathe it. But everything underlying PPC is a foundation that affects PPC that's not directly related to PPC. We don't just ignore that. We let you know exactly what needs to be done on your end in order to solve those things so that the PPC results can come. So that's how it works. If you want to find out any more about that, you can email hello@sophiesociety.com, and I'm happy to link you up with a call where you can find out if it actually makes sense for your brand in particular. This is that email again. I'll put it up on screen.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. And what I wanted to say also, if you're interested in the challenge, go to the description of the video and you can sign up for that as well. And I can tell after seeing Chris attending many of our Orange Click in-person events and conferences, he's super into just helping other sellers and just trying to find solutions for problems sellers have. So it's great that you're doing this challenge as well. I think it will be beneficial for the Amazon community overall.
Yep, totally. I'm really looking forward to it. It's so stressful for me every time, but in a good way. It's like an excited stress, because we have such an enormous amount of prep that leads up to it. But it's also like one of the most gratifying things that I've ever done in my career as an e-commerce entrepreneur.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks again for joining me, and for thanks also to all of the viewers who are here today with us or who are also later watching us again. So I hope to see you soon. Good luck with your challenge, and let's keep learning and doing stuff on Amazon.
Thank you, Lisette. It's been awesome as always. And anybody who wants to come in the challenge, just click the link in the description of this video and apply there. And I'll see you on September 18th.
Okay, see you.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye, Lisette.
So thanks again for watching us today. I hope you enjoyed this useful webinar. And if you want to learn more, then go ahead and watch the playlist we have put together of different interviews we have done with Chris Rawlings in the past about A+ content, brand story, and much more related to PPC as well. So see you soon again.